welcome to Mum, Wife, Cook. This is our first episode and I'll be talking about different things I like to cook, mainly when I've got lots of leftovers or something that's really getting on a bit in time, like our peaches for example. They're getting quite soft and over-ripened, so the family keeps avoiding them and don't want to eat them. So what I'm going to do today is cook a delicious Frangipane tart. So let me talk you through some of the ingredients that I've already prepared here in front of me. So what we have for the sweet pastry, we have got all of our ingredients prepared, and we've got 2 3/4 cups of flour. We've got ourselves a pinch of salt, 150 grams of unsalted butter. We've got 3/4 cup of icing sugar, and we've got 2 lightly beaten eggs. Now I've pre-prepared a rectangular tart tin. The other ingredients that we're going to work with is the Frangipane component. So for that we have got 125 grams of butter. We've got 125 grams of icing sugar. We've got 115 grams of ground almond meal. And we've got 20 grams of plain flour, and we've got 3 eggs lightly beaten. Now in this I also like to add some vanilla bean paste. I would probably use a teaspoonful of vanilla bean paste, but really that's up to you and to your liking. We'll start out by putting in our dry ingredients. So this is our flour. Our icing sugar and our salt. Okay, now we're just going to lightly pulse that together. Again, we're going to pulse this together until it resembles breadcrumbs, and then we'll put in our eggs. Okay, so our mixture is starting to come together. So let's add in our eggs. And this will form a dough. Okay, now we are ready to take this out, and we're going to put it on our non-stick surface. There will be a few pieces just at the bottom, as you can see there, that we can just pick up and form into a dough. Okay, so now that we've formed a dough, we'll just lightly knead it and bring it together just before we chill it. Now what I like to do before I do chill the dough and let it rest is I like to roll it out lightly and let it form the shape of the tin as closely as possible, so that later when we do roll it out to fit into the tin, it makes it roll out with ease, and also it helps let the dough set a lot faster if it's in a thinner portion. So let's roll it out. As I said, we're using a rectangular tin, so I have got a bit of excess flour here just so that we don't let it stick to our rolling pin or on our board. Okay, so we'll just roll it out to that thickness. That should be enough. At this stage it doesn't need to be perfect, and it certainly doesn't matter that it's a little bit crumbly. Once we fold it up and put it in the fridge to settle, and it will rest and become a lot easier to manage when we take it out. Okay, so we'll get some cling wrap now, and we'll wrap this up and put it in the fridge. Okay, straight into the fridge, we'll let that rest. So now that we've got our pastry in the fridge resting, we're going to turn our oven on, and we're going to turn that on to 180 degrees so that it is ready when we want to bake the tart. So what we will also do is, once the pastry has rested, we will blind bake the pastry slightly, just so it has a bit of golden crispiness and doesn't have that raw taste to it when you eat into it later. Once we've turned the oven on, we will get onto the Frangipane paste. Now with the Frangipane paste, this can be made 24 hours ahead of time. So if you wanted to make the pastry early in the morning, you could certainly get started on the paste the night before and let it sit in the fridge ready to go the next morning, because the baking process is quite quick once all of the components are ready to go. So let's turn the oven on. Okay, so the first process that we're going to do now is we are going to beat our butter. So we'll get our butter going, and it's already softened, so this shouldn't take long. So the next process is putting in our icing sugar, so we'll add that now. Okay, next we're going to add our almond meal. And our flour. So that mixture is slowly coming together now. That doesn't take very long to come together. What we'll do now is we've got our pre-beaten eggs, and we will add them in gradually and let them mix through thoroughly. We're about to put in the last of the eggs. And next I'm going to squeeze in roughly a tablespoon of vanilla paste. Maybe a little bit more. I love the flavour of vanilla bean paste. Once our mixture is ready, we will put it into a clean bowl and we'll set it aside in the fridge. So this is looking great. We're going to turn the mixer off now, and we'll set this aside when we're ready to bake. In the meantime, we'll start to prepare our peaches. Okay, so now that we've finished making our Frangipane mixture and our pastry is still resting, we will prepare our peaches. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our peaches in half, and then we're going to slice them and remove the seed. What to do is cut it lengthways. Try to keep the slices together, and we won't do them too thin. We will keep them slightly thicker so that they don't totally melt when they do cook in the oven. Okay, so we have allowed the pastry to rest, and we're going to be taking it out of the fridge now and getting it ready to go into our tin. Alright, pastry. We do still have our extra flour here in case we need it. Should be okay, but we'll see how we go. I'm going to try not to make this too thick. We might end up having some excess pastry. That's okay. We can either make a smaller tart out of that, or like I do, I love to hand it over to my daughter and she cuts out shapes and biscuits. So we'll roll this out. As you can see, it is still a little bit crumbly, but that's okay. We can just piece it together as we go. Of course, we want it to overhang the edges of our tin, so it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. What we do want, however, is some evenness in the rolling. So we're nearly there. Okay, so we're slowly just pushing this into our tin. It is still a little bit crumbly. Today is a warm day, so what I might do is probably let it rest a little further in the tin before I do bake it, just so that I don't have a very crumbly crust at the end, but it's quite easy just to use it that way, and then let it rest further if you do find that it is a little bit too soft. So because the tart tin has got some nice sharp edges, we just push the dough down, get the rolling pin, roll it over the top, and all of the excess just falls away. And like I said, we'll turn these into some little shortbread bickies later. They're quite delicious and fun for the kids to play with. Tart's ready to go now. What I'm going to do is just blind bake it for a short period of time, and our oven is nice and warm because we did turn it on earlier. So the trick for blind baking is to get some baking paper, and I like to scrunch it up so that it doesn't stick to the base before I pour the ceramic balls in. I think a good 10 minutes should do it on 180 degrees. Let's put it in. Okay, we're finished blind baking, just lightly, because it is going to bake further once we put the frangipane paste in. So the next step now is we've taken this out of the oven, we've allowed it to cool, because we don't want the frangipane mixture to melt as we put it in. So we will now put this into the tart and line our peaches up, and finish it off with the peach syrup that I cooked up earlier. So let's line the tin, line the tart now with the paste, frangipane paste. We'll dollop it in. Doesn't have to be neat. Just get it all in. Got a little bit excess, that's okay. You can possibly use the excess pastry and create another little tart later. Let's spread it out first. Make sure that we've gone right up to the corners. And a little bit more in if you need to. Smooth it out. We want it all to be as even as possible. Again, don't be afraid to use your fingers just to get all the corners nice and even. Okay. My kitchen is smelling delicious, by the way. The vanilla, frangipane, fresh smell of summer from the peaches. I can't wait to eat this. So what we're going to do is I've kept all my peaches in order, and I will slot them in just in the order that I've cut them. Now there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can just use all the big pieces. It's completely up to you. So we'll keep lining them up. Okay, so now that we're finished, okay, we're going to use our syrup that we made earlier just to brush them over the top. So we'll give them a little bit of a glaze, caramelization. Okay, let's put it in the oven. I would say keep an eye on it, but it doesn't take long to cook. So look at it in about 10 minutes time, and you should roughly gauge on a 180 degree oven at about 10 to 15 minutes and it should be done. Okay, we'll come back when it's ready. Okay, so our frangipane tart with summer peaches is ready to eat. So it's just come out of the oven. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit, but once we pop it out, we'll drizzle it with some icing sugar, and that'll be ready to serve. Just delicious. Thanks for joining me, and please like and share the clip, and feel free to follow us on our blog, Mum, Wife, Cook. Thanks.